So the trip with India is interesting because India, I think, has gotten and raised many eyebrows around the world for its abstentions at the United Nations, its unwillingness to criticize Russia. Many people have cited India's historic defense relationship with Russia and its continued reliance on Russian defense material. But it's not a straightforward issue. The Indian government had planned its budgets around oil being at around $75 a barrel. And of course, the war has spiked that now to much higher levels. And so New Delhi's interests, I think, are complicated here. And so I think there will be some difficult conversations behind closed doors that we might not get a public indicator of. But I do suspect that India has its fair share of reasons to be quite concerned about the conflict in Ukraine. And I think India would favor a quick ceasefire and a quick termination. But certainly, I think the perception of New Delhi, which is a country that's been leaning towards the United States, of course, over the last decade, certainly as taking Russia's side, I think will be difficult to wipe away because that perception, I think, really has stuck. And so those discussions in New Delhi, I think, will be worth watching quite closely.
Now, as we watch the Ukraine war now into 6 weeks, we've seen the impact on oil prices, but what does it actually mean and the impact for us here in Asia?
Well, so I think reactions around Asia really vary. You have sort of the normative concerns of smaller countries like Singapore, which have, I think, taken an unprecedentedly strong position and sanctioned Russia because they're concerned about their future, about future conflicts in Asia, and what it means for the ability of superpowers to basically aggress at will against their neighbors. You have, as I discussed with India, concerns about energy prices, about defense exports. Russia is an important military partner for many countries in this region. For countries in Central Asia, you have really an economic crisis of massive proportions, given the collapse in the ruble and the difficulty that many Central Asian workers in Russia have sending remittances back to their home countries, which have been a huge source of their annual GDP, for instance. And so projections that have been coming out of the World Bank for many of these Central Asian states have been catastrophic. And so really this is a conflict that has far-reaching effects across Asia. There are likely to be longer-term effects as well with regard to food security and exports of wheat from Ukraine, of course. And so it's really, I think, the shockwaves and ripples from this crisis are really being felt across the region. And I think all of Asia is looking for a quick termination to this crisis so that many of these issues can be resolved in a way that will suit their interests.